Most people think confidence is something you're either born with or you're not. Like it's this magical trait people just have, and the rest will trace our left hoping we somehow catch it like a cold. But let me tell you something. Confidence isn't a mystery. It's not some rare gift from the universe. Confidence is something you build like a muscle. But before we even talk about how to build it, we need to clear up what it actually is. Confidence isn't about walking into a room and thinking you're better than everyone else. That's ego, and ego is fragile. That kind of fake confidence shatters the moment someone challenges it. Real confidence isn't loud. It's no snot boasting need to be validated by other people. Real confidence is quiet certainty. It's a deep inner trust that no matter what comes your way, you'll find a way through it. You might not have all the answers. You might know what's going to happen, but you deep down, you've got what it takes to figure it out. That's the difference. It's not about never feeling fear. People with real confidence still feel fear, doubt, anxiety. Every single one of us does. But the difference is they don't let that fear stop them. They act anyway. And that's what confidence, the willingness to move forward despite uncertainty. Now here's the trap a lot of people fall into. They wait. They think, once I feel called, take the leap, then I'll start the business. Then I'll speak up in that meeting. Then I'll go after what I really want. But confidence doesn't come before action. It comes and from action. You don't wait for it. You generate it. You earn it through experience. Imagine a child learning to walk. They fall over and over again. They wobble. They stumble. They get up and try again. Did that repetition. They build the balance, the strength, the coordination. Eventually, they're walking like it's second nature. Did they wait to feel confident before taking their first step? Of course not. They just went know it. They trusted the process. That's the modal. Adults, we forget that. We expect ourselves to nail it first time. We judge ourselves harshly if we mess up. And the moment we feel discomfort, we pull back. But confidence only grows when you lean into that discomfort. When you give yourself permission to be in progress, you build confidence when you stop tying your self-worth to the outcome and start connecting it to the effort. That shift alone will change your life. You see, confidence also comes from keeping promises to yourself. When you say you're going to do something and you create evidence that you can rely on you. That's where true self-belief comes from. Not from someone else telling you you're good enough, from you proving it to yourself over and over again in small, consistent ways. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you acknowledged the progress you made? Not just the big wins, but the little moments where you chose courage over comfort. When you spoke up even though your voice shook. When you took the first step even though your knees were trembling. That is confidence. It's not, she's not perfect, but it's not real. And here's what's powerful. You can create it at any moment. You don't need a title. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect conditions. You just need a decision to stop waiting for confidence to show up and start stepping into the kind of person who acts without needing it first. Because when you do that, confidence becomes the byproduct. It becomes a result of your action, not a prerequisite for it. That changes everything. Confidence isn't just a destination. It's a way to show day up every single day how you speak to yourself. It's in what you choose to focus on. It's in whether or not you let fear make your decisions. And once you understand that, you stop chasing confidence and start becoming it. You build it from the inside out. So let's crush one of the biggest myths out there. The lie that confidence is something you're either born with or you're not. That's nonsense. Confidence is not genetic. It's not reserved for the lucky few. It's not some exclusive club that only certain people get access to. Confidence is built, period. It's a skill. It's something you develop through repetition, through practice, and through experience. You gotta stop looking at confident people and thinking, well, it's easy for them. The nights they doubted themselves. You don't see the rejections they pushed through, the failures they had to face, the work they put in behind the scenes. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Confidence isn't what they were born with, it's what they had earned. Think about it. Every confident person you admire, they didn't start there. They weren't born walking into rooms like they owned the place. They became that way, built a version of themselves over time by taking action, falling on their face, learning, getting back up, and doing it again and again. You want that kind of confidence. You've got to be willing to go through that same process. The problem is we've been conditioned to believe that if we're not instantly good at something, then we're just not cut out for it. That if it doesn't come naturally, we should give up. But the truth is, anything you've ever gotten good at, you sucked at first. Whether it was riding a bike, speaking a new language, learning how to lead, or even just learning how to speak up for yourself, you didn't start confident. You built it by trying, by failing, and by staying in the game. So you've got to stop waiting for this magical wave of confidence to hit you before you take action. That wave doesn't come. Confidence isn't the fuel for action. It's the result of action. You act your way into confidence. You show up. You try. You fall. You get better. You grow. And somewhere along the way, something clicks. You start to believe. Not because someone told you could, but because you proved it to yourself. There's power in repetition. The more you do something, the more familiar it becomes. And the more familiar it becomes, the less fear you feel around it. That's when confidence starts to rise. But if you never take that first step, if you keep holding yourself back, waiting to feel ready. You stay stuck. You rob yourself of the chance to grow into the person you were meant to be. I've seen people transform their lives not because they suddenly became fearless, but because they stopped believing the lie that they had to feel confident before they could act. They understood that confidence is something you build by doing hard things, by pushing your limits, by leaning into discomfort, and by showing yourself what you're capable of. Again and again, you don't build confidence through comfort. You build it through stretching you through showing up in moments where you don't feel ready and doing the thing anyway. That's the difference maker. That's where the shift happens. Every time you break through a limit, every time you do something that once scared you, you expand what's possible for you. And that expansion, that growth, that's where real confidence comes from. The good news, you can start right now. You don't need a massive leap. You don't need to take some life-changing risks today. You just need a small, courageous act. One step outside your comfort zone. One decision to move forward instead of hold back. One moment of courage, and then another. Stack enough of those moments, and before you know it, you're not the same person anymore. You're stronger, bolder, more resilient. That's what confidence really is. Not some magical feeling, not some trait you hope shows up one day, but something you build every single day, with every choice, every action, every step into your next level. You build it, you don't wait for it. Let's talk about momentum. Confidence isn't something you just wake up with one day. It's something you earn step by step. And where most people go wrong is they wait for some huge opportunity, some perfect moment, some life-changing breakthrough to finally start building confidence. But confidence doesn't start big. It starts small. It starts with a single step, a win, a choice to move forward. That's where it begins. Because here's the truth. If you want unstoppable confidence, you don't start by climbing the whole mountain. You start by putting your shoes on and taking the first step. One. That's it. And then you take it another and another. And what happens? You build momentum. You start stacking wins. And the moment you start stacking wins, even small ones, you start changing the story you tell yourself about who you are. Every time you follow through on a time of decision, every you say, I'm gonna do this, and then you actually do it, you reinforce that believing, I'm someone who shows up. I'm someone who takes action. I'm someone who finishes what I start. And when that belief starts to take root, your confidence grows without you having to force it. Most people underestimate the power of small wins. They're so busy waiting the big moment, they completely ignore the value of progress. They think if it's not huge, it doesn't count. That's the mindset that kills confidence. Because if you're always looking for something big enough to validate you, you're constantly in a state of LU lack. You're never enough as you are. But when you recognize that every step forward, every little promise kept, every tiny challenge faced is a E-wing, then you start to build confidence on demand. Let me give it to you straight. Confidence is a result of momentum, and momentum is created by movement, not by standing still, not by overthinking. Not by waiting for the perfect plan. Just movement. The brain loves progress. It doesn't need perfection. It just needs a direction and a little motion. And when you start with something you can do, something within reach, you start building that internal belief. Maybe it's getting up 30 minutes earlier and sticking to it. Maybe it's finally having that tough conversation. Maybe it's making the phone call you've been avoiding. It doesn't have to be a dramatic leap. It just has to be intentional. When you build up those small wins day after day, week after week, you condition your nervous system to trust you. You stop operating from, I hope I can, and start living from, I know I will. That's not arrogance. That's earned certainty. You earned that through repetition. Through showing even up when you didn't feel like it. Through doing the work in silence. Confidence built that way doesn't disappear when life throws punches. It holds steady because it's built on a solid foundation of follow through and proof. And let me be clear. It's not just about the action. It's about what the action means to you. If you set a goal to go to the gym and you actually go, that's not just a workout, that's a win. That's a vote for the identity you're trying to build. That's a deposit into your confidence bank. And you stack enough of those, you walk different, you speak different, you move through the world different. People say, how do I start believing in myself? You start with one action that aligns with the version that you want to become, the version of you that's stuck in fear. Not the version that keeps playing small, the version that knows there's more in you. And once you take that first step, the next one gets easier. And then the next. You want to build unstoppable confidence. Stop trying to leap from 0 to 100 overnight. Stop trying to be perfect out the gate. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what can and stack those wins. Small victories done consistently create massive change. That's how you shift your entire identity. That's how you create the kind of confidence that doesn't just show up for the good days, but carries you through the tough ones. Small wins lead to big breakthroughs. Let's get real about something that most people overlook. What's going on inside your head? If you want to build unstoppable confidence, you can't ignore your inner dialogue. Because the truth is, the voice you listen to the most is your own. And that voice, it's either lifting you up or tearing you down. There is no neutral, planting seeds of power or feeding you doubt, fear, and limitation. We all have that inner voice, and for most people, it's not very kind. It's judgmental. It's full of fear-based stories that were never even yours to begin with. Maybe it came from a parent, teacher, or boss, a moment where someone made you feel small, and over time you started believing it. You made it your identity. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. but people like me don't succeed. Sound familiar? But here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. And that means you have the power to choose what you believe. That's where confidence begins, not in the mirror, not in your achievements, but in your mind. If you want to change your life, you've got to change the conversation you're having with yourself. See, most people think their thoughts are facts, but they're not. They're just habits. Mental loops you've been running so long, they feel like truth. But just because something feels real doesn't mean it's just real. Confidence isn't about eliminating those thoughts. It's about challenging and questioning them, replacing them. When that voice in your head says, you're not ready, you ask, you says who? When it whispers, what if you fail? You say, what if I fly? You don't run from the fear, you talk to it. You train that voice to work for you, not against you. Because your brain is always listening, and every time you speak with power, every time you choose a thought that aligns with your growth, you're rewiring yourself for confidence. Words are not just words, they are programming. When you repeatedly tell yourself you're not capable, not worthy, not enough, you're reinforcing a lie. You're building a wall between you and your potential. But when you flip the script, when you start speaking with intention and truth, I've handled old hard things before. I can do it again. I'm learning. I'm becoming stronger every day. You're not just saying things, you're shaping your identity. And identity is everything. Because we always follow through on who we believe we are. If deep down you think you're a failure, you'll subconsciously find ways to prove it true. You'll self-sabotage. You'll hold back. But if you start to believe you're capable, resourceful, worthy, you'll begin to act like it. And when you act like it, you start to get results that reflect it. This isn't about pretending or lying to yourself. It's about telling the whole truth. Yes, you've struggled. Yes, you made mistakes. But you've also overcome. You've survived 100% of your worst days. You've grown. And when you own that part of the story, your narrative shifts. You stop being the victim of your past and start becoming the author of your future. You've got to stop waiting for someone else to validate you. That confidence you're chasing, it's not coming from the outside. It starts with how you talk to yourself when no one's watching, in those quiet moments. When you miss the mark, do you attack yourself or do you remind yourself who you are? Every confident person you've ever seen has learned to master their inner dialogue, not by being perfect, but by being intentional, by catching those limiting thoughts and end them with something empowering, by standing guard at the doorway of their mind. So here's what I want you to do. Start paying attention to the words you say to yourself. Would you speak that way to your best friend, to someone you love? If not, it's time to change the script. Talk to yourself like someone worth fighting for, someone worth showing up for, because you are. The most powerful voice in your life is your own. Make sure it's telling you the truth. Let's talk about things most people avoid like the plague. Discomfort. If you want a real lasting, unstoppable confidence, you can't avoid it. You've got to lean into it. Because the truth is, confidence isn't built when things are easy. It's not built in the comfort zone, where everything feels safe and predictable. Confidence is forged in the moments where you're stretched, challenged, and tested. That's where the growth, that's where the magic happens. Most people think the goal is to eliminate fear, to wait until they feel completely ready, to avoid anything that feels uncertain or risky. But what they don't realize is that by avoiding discomfort, they're a very thing that would give them the confidence they're chasing. The more you run from discomfort, the more power it has over you. But the more you face it, the more you train yourself to handle it, and the more powerful you become. It isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is your ability to take action despite fear. It's doing the thing while your hands are shaking. It's speaking up even when your voice trembles. It's saying yes to the opportunity even when your mind is screaming, what if I fail? Because when you face discomfort head on, you prove something to yourself you can handle hard things. And that self-proof, that's the foundation of true confidence. The challenge is, discomfort never feels good in the moment. It's awkward, it's messy, it's uncertain. It makes your heart race and your palms sweat. But that's not a sign that something's wrong. That's a sign that something you matters, that you're growing. They're in a moment that has the potential to shape you. If you only do what feels comfortable, you'll never know what you're capable of. You'll keep playing small, calling realistic. But deep down, you'll know you're playing beneath your potential. Growth doesn't happen in the known. It happens in the unknown. It happens when you take a step into territory you've never explored before, when you put yourself in situations that force you to stretch, adapt, and evolve. And the beautiful part, you don't have to leap all the way into chaos. You just have to touch discomfort on purpose. Daily, intentionally, put yourself in situations that require a little more from you. Speak up in a room where you'd normally stay quiet. Take on a challenge you'd usually avoid. Ask for something you want instead of shrinking back. Those little moments, those tiny decisions to lean in instead of pull back are what build confidence. Because every time you lean into discomfort and survive it, Your brain updates its belief about who you are and what you're capable of. Suddenly, the things that once scared you don't feel so big anymore. Suddenly, the fear that used to paralyze you becomes a signal, not a stop sign. A signal that you're on the edge of growth, that you're about to unlock something new, that you're about to meet a stronger version of yourself on the other side. That's how you build confidence that doesn't just show up when life is easy, but shows up when things are uncertain, unpredictable, even overwhelming. Because you've trained for it. You've conditioned yourself to feel the fear and move anyway. You've built that internal muscle that says, I can handle this. And once you've proven that to yourself enough times, you become unstoppable. Not because life stops being hard, but because you stop being afraid of the hard parts. There's a quote I love: do one thing every day that scares you. That doesn't mean reckless, wild decisions. It means stretching your capacity, stepping into situations that make your heart beat a little faster, doing the thing your future self will thank you for. Because confidence isn't built by staying where it's safe. It's built by choosing courage over and over again, even in the smallest moments. The goal isn't to be fearless. The goal is to be brave. Fear might still show up, but it doesn't get to drive the car anymore. You do. And the more you practice that, deliberately stepping into discomfort, the more you realize that confidence isn't some mysterious force. It's a choice, a decision, a daily practice of becoming the version of you who doesn't back down from growth. You don't get stronger by avoiding the weight. You get stronger by lifting it.